The first reason is to ensure that the true values of our assets, which were inherited from the former National Printing and Stationery Corporation, are reflected in our financial statements through a revaluation of our land and capital equipment. Second, to legalize the ownership of the land which the corporation now occupies.
The lawmakers, after making their recommendations, decided to reschedule the GPPC to January 2012. Aissatou Badiansar, GRTS.
Civil society actors drawn from across the African continent have been taking part in a week-long training focusing on regional and international human rights mechanisms. This synergy, organized by the African Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies, is expected to leave the participants better equipped to lobby stakeholders to endorse and implement of the legal instrument. Mohamed Jamal Sise has more.
Formed civil society on human rights matters could be most effective in the rights campaign. The generational challenges of such rights, particularly as they say in the third world countries, call for equipping the civil society actors with the requisite knowledge in human rights instruments so that they could become more proactive in creating and create a sustained network in pushing for the implementation of such rights, says Mbasa Fall of the African Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies Governing Council. In order to stand for those rights, you need yourself to comprehend in real terms their nitty-gritties as defined by conventional standards, says Adama Kupajan, the admin officer at the African Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies. According to the rights experts, there is a thin line between Africa and Latin America in terms of human rights and governance. This, says Camila Asano, prompts the need for a closer South-South cooperation for a common and more solidified force to confront those challenges.
This is why Connectors, that's based in Latin America, is here supporting this training, being part of this training, because we really believe that we have so much to exchange.
Having a documented international human rights court, Dr. Abubakar Senghor of UTG's law faculty confirms has helped curb many litigants on rights issues.
Similarly, the concept of sovereign immunity of heads of state has been severely restricted, and this was clearly demonstrated by the decision of the law lords, the decision of the House of Lords in the Pinochet case several years ago. The status of the individual has changed from being an object to now subject of international law.
Civil society, he concurs, has been a huge part of human rights advocacy, and with such synergies, it could be giving a stronger footing in dealing with the complexities of international human rights laws and push for their unreserved endorsement and implementation by their states. For GRTS News, I am Mohamed Jamal Sise.
The chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission is touring the country as part of efforts to ensure a hitch-free presidential race. Alhaji Mustafa Kerayol, who started his trip in Kanifing, is seeking to acquaint local authorities and electorate in general with electoral procedures ahead of the November 24th presidential poll. Babakar Kamara tells us more.
Back on a sensitization tour ahead of the November 24th presidential polls, following a successful voter registration process earlier this year.
The purpose of my mission is I'm going around the whole country. I have to meet all mayors, governors, politicians, council of elders, and then I have to brief them on our stand, how prepared we are, because the nomination is at the corner. After the nomination you have the campaign and then the election, so that at least we all will know what to do and what not to do.
The Independent Electoral Commission has made remarkable achievements in the past 3 elections and have vowed to make history for the 4th upcoming national and local government elections. Their indebtable experience leads a course to conduct free, fair and transparent election, and his message continues to be, you will be surprised to know that we have 11 legally registered political parties in this country, but only 5 are currently active. Eligibility is based on the 300 required party militants that are supposed to nominate the head of its political party, he asserted. The IEC boss also revealed plans to conduct an efficient election, as 1,302 polling stations with over 5,000 personnel have been recruited to make the process a smooth one.
My next stage will be at West Coast region, and then from West Coast I go to Mansakonko, after Mansakonko, Kerewan, Central River, and then URR.
His nationwide visit seeks to sensitize the electorate on significant electoral procedures and processes ahead of both the presidential and parliamentary elections slated for November 24, 2011 and March 29, 2012 respectively. Babukar Kamara, GRTS.
30 members of a French flight association called Red Latqua recently flew into the Gambia to donate educational materials to schools. Members of the delegation visited several African countries before coming to the Gambia and were received at the foot of the aircraft by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation and Gambians Abroad, Dr. Mamoudou Tangara. Aissatou Bajansa reports.
They came in these light aircrafts to Banjul after touring most African countries, delivering letters and assisting schools in their bid to have first-hand knowledge of the African continent, usually associated with war and famine. The flight club Red Latikoe consists of a group of diverse professions, from doctors to engineers and students.
The rationale behind it is to have a communication between schools in France, mainly in the southern part of France, and the children, they write letters to their counterparts in Africa. Of course, they don't know them, so I think it's a good way to have a communication between different people.
The group, according to Francois, is also engaged in assisting English-speaking schools that offer French subjects, and in the case of the Gambia, St. Teresa's was the lucky school chosen from many and will be presented with learning materials as well as items for their extracurricular activities. The Minister for Foreign Affairs expressed delight at the group's visit to the country, saying it will help in strengthening ties between Banjul and Paris.
There are a lot of rumors, some negative perception about the Gambia, and this is part of the way to make sure that people see the true picture of this country. And as far as the relationship between France and Gambia is concerned, the relationship is very cordial.
The French chargé d'affaires to the country also shares the same view with the Foreign Affairs Minister, adding that the Gambia is one country that Europeans would love to visit because of its peace and tranquility and the hospitable nature of its people.
The link from Europe to South America is passing by this region. That's why I was just asking to these people to stop in Banjul. It's the first time they are coming, you know that, because Mr. Berardi explained you to that. And you see, it will be a pleasure for me to organize that and to make the Banjul part, the Gambia, and Banjul part of this dream.
Though they came to the Gambia in light aircrafts with learning materials for one school, they have received the warm and hospitable treatment from Gambian officials. These French men and women will be poised to express their delightful visit to the country, which could in turn open up greater avenues for Gambia's tourism sector. Aissatou Bajansar, GRTS.
Justice Emmanuel Nkea has again adjourned the treason trial against former Information Minister Amadou Skratet Jane and 3 others. The presiding judge had ruled that the court should proceed with the case with or without the defense counsel Lamin Camara, who is seeking a 4-week adjournment due to ill health. Justice Nkea today ruled in favor of the counsel Camara's application. This after the filing of a medical report by the defense lawyer who is representing all accused persons. The special court had previously underlined the absence of a medical certificate, but after going through the document delivered by the lawyer this morning, the presiding judge Emmanuel Nkea decided that an extra adjournment is rather inevitable to serve the interest of justice. Mikhail Abdallah, the Director of Public Prosecutions, urged mightily that a 4-week adjournment is rather too much and may not even serve the best interest of the accused and the witnesses prosecution is endeavoring to bring to court. The trial has now been rescheduled to the 1st, 2nd and 3rd of November for hearing, and in addition, the presiding judge also ruled that he is going to hold proceedings from Monday to Thursday for 2 hours each day to expedite the trial. You can follow that story and other GRTS programs live on our website at www.grts.gm. There you can also monitor GRTS Radio Live. From there we take our first break. We'll be right back.
It is a